All right, we're going to talk some UFC and some big news outside of the octagon, but soon to be in there. UFC 200, it looks like Brock Lesnar is going to make his return, come out of retirement. Of course, he decided to make that decision while he was on his farm in Saskatchewan, out of all places. But yes, he went to talk to ESPN and said, yes, I'm going to confirm, and I'm going to return to the octagon. What do you say, Andrew? Because I think you're probably the more excited out of anybody here.
I am. I'm happy. I've never watched a GSP fight. I've never watched a John Jones fight. I've never watched probably any fight. I haven't missed a single Brock Lesnar fight. Maybe because back in the day when I was 15 and watching wrestling, I knew Brock Lesnar from there, and that's maybe why. But also because the type of athlete he is something that no one has ever seen. And we look at mixed martial arts and the way it is. Everyone is kind of the same. Everyone trains the same. Everyone, they're all different, but they're the same. And then there's Brock Lesnar, who's just a beast of a person who you don't expect at heavyweight level to be doing what he's doing. So I'll definitely be watching that. Don't know if I'll pay for it, but I'll definitely be watching it.
There you go. How about you?
I wasn't planning on watching it until I heard he was living in Saskatchewan.
There you go. Yeah, he's got a farm in southern Saskatchewan.
Where?
I believe it's nearby the Estevan region or around there.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. I wasn't originally from there. I'm a Saskatoon boy, but I was around Yorkton. Actually, that's where I was born. Oh. And yourself?
I'm from Carlisle, Saskatchewan, home of Brendan Morrow and Jim McKenzie.
Oh, well, there you go. You're right up there. You got Brock Lesnar, we got Eric Morrissette, and then me in the back. So that's how I was working the totem pole.
So anyway, I think that's
But you'd be excited. But it'd be something to watch. At least this guy, and I think you just said it in terms of you watched him as a kid in WWE. He transcends it. Okay, now he's going to be back in the octagon. Do you think he still has enough? Because he's been away for a couple years now.
I don't know. There's a huge business side to all of this in terms of with what's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, he's saying that he's the Bo Jackson of athletes in terms of when it comes to his sport. So we'll see what happens.
You gotta think when he left the last time, he was extremely sick and he was fighting for 2 years sick all the time. So he kind of said he left it out there. He wants to come back. He didn't want to end his legacy like that. You hope he does well because you hope he wants to come back and do it again. As much as I would hate to not watch wrestling with him there, it'd be great to watch him in the UFC.
Andrew, this is a question that I guess really is geared towards you as a reporter and a person who has broken a story or two in the past. You look at the UFC and what's happened. They've been very tight-lipped. They're the type of organization that says, we're the ones who dictate what you guys can say, so you can't do anything. Well, talking about Brock Lesnar, that actually was broken, or at least one of the stories. It was leaked out by Ariel Helwani, who is an insider with UFC. After that story came out without the actual proper comments from UFC, they decided to ban Helwani from any UFC events. Other athletes have come out and said, you know what, or other UFC fighters have come out and said, you know what, Helwani, I'll talk to him because he's a good guy. This is not looking good on the UFC's part. I think it's a little heavy-handed. Do you agree?
Oh, it is. You're battling that media thing. You want media coverage, but you want to limit what people out. Maybe you should have done a better job of not leaking that information out. It's a really tight slope we live in, and you and me know this perfectly well. There's a lot of things that I know that I probably shouldn't know, but I do know because people tell me, and I don't leak it out because I know that's going to reflect my relationships. But I'm also not getting paid thousands of dollars or working for the big leagues, I guess we'll call it that. I know where I am, and if I leak something out, that's going to harm the relationships I've built. In a sense, it's kind of the same thing. You have to be careful about what you put out there because it's going to hurt your relationships, and it's going to hurt what you can do because some people can say, no, you're not going to come to our event. And UFC is one of those places that you're not governed by an association of writers. They're their own thing. So, yeah, you can, unfortunately for him, it's a dark thing for media that we have to put up with.
Eric, you're a guy who has a company. You've built the program with Your Hockey. You have an opportunity to kind of get your message across to other people. But if you ran through a leak, I guess in this UFC's case, do you think that maybe they were a little bit overboard in terms of banning a guy just because he put something out before you did? Is that kind of a little bit an off issue, or do you kind of see Dana White's point?
Well, you guys are in the industry, both of you. So if he leaked it, did he get paid to leak it?
No, it's his job to cover. It's part of his job.
But what do you got paid for doing that?
I don't think. I think it would have been a little bit. I think it's different. I think overall it's part of his job. So, in that sense, he's getting paid technically. But overall,
Who would have paid him?
Who would have paid him? Well, the
Yeah.
company he's working for.
Who's the company he works for?
Well, it was Fox, but no longer Fox.
Because they fired him because of this incident?
See, I think there was other issues that pertain to it prior to.
He works for
so I think-
MMA Fighting.
Yeah,
it's a
MMA Fighting,
website
yeah.
and stuff. So
But prior, yeah, that was a whole different story. But the whole point of being an insider or a person that's working in that particular sport is to get that story. It's interesting to see what the UFC's done. I think they went overboard in terms of that. If they just told them in the future, look, we'll get you the information, just hold off, I think that would have been a different story.
Yeah, I guess my only thing is that if those are what Dana White is saying, hey, and he knew the rules and he was supposed to be tight-lipped on it, then it's a matter of, hey, if that's who you're working for or that's one of the major events that you're covering, then I think, you got to be cautious in terms of what you put out there. I mean, especially in a situation here where Dana White's saying, hey, you know what, screw you, you're done. Like, I mean, it's not that you can't cover the event anymore, but you're not going to have what I read is that he's not going to have the front, unless you pay for it, you're not getting the front seat to cover this event.
You're talking about burning those bridges. It doesn't help out your cause on either side. But it'll be interesting to see how this will. I'm sure they'll come together and come to some kind of agreement. Let's get to this question really quick. It's talking about Madison Bumgarner, the San Francisco Giants pitcher who has been phenomenal throwing the ball. Well, he's been exceptional hitting the ball in batting practice as well as throughout the season, 13 home runs so far. A lot of suggestions say, you know what, let's put him in the home run derby. Do you agree?
yeah, put him in. Why not? From a standpoint of a pitcher who only pitches how many, I don't know what he's at, 10, 13, 15 games? Do the math, whatever it is, I don't care. He's only played 15 games at his 13 home runs or whatever. Put him in. Be great.
I think
Last
sport
word?
is a celebration of athleticism, and if he's a good enough athlete to knock it out of the park and he's a good enough athlete to throw it across the plate, then he's somebody that should be given due opportunity based on what he's doing, because it's like sport is a celebration of that athleticism.
There you go. Might as well celebrate him hitting dingers. All right?
Absolutely.
There we go. Take a commercial break. We'll return with Over Under next.